Your number one hype gal here, and welcome to the weekly warm-up, your weekly dose to feel a little more confident and a lot more human. I'm Jess Rose McDowell, and each week I'll share life updates, mindset shifts, product faves, the little things that help me stay grounded, energized, and moving and grooving. Whether you're heading out for a jog, sipping your morning coffee, or just need a midweek pick-me-up, this is your warm-up for living a real balanced life. So take a breath, shake it out, and let's dive in. Let's go. Oh, I'm immature. Welcome to episode 7. It's back to just being good old me this time around. We had a really great week last week with Care Bear. I think she crushed it and she will be allowed back on. It is official. I want to make that announcement for everybody. But anyways, moving on. I have a jam-packed schedule today. However, this is how ADD I am, and also to how random I am. So this morning I woke up and I knew I had a planned out day, especially that big portion of that I needed to make sure that we filmed this episode and then start editing it because I go to Key West on Wednesday until Sunday. That way I can enjoy myself and not worry about having to do a ton of editing while I'm away. And I got up and wanted to get myself packed because I've got a jam-packed day tomorrow. No one cares. Anyways, so when I woke up and started packing, I realized that I used to accessorize. And I know that there's a difference between styling your outfit and wearing an outfit. And I started to think about how I used to wear statement earrings and statement jewelry. And I haven't been doing that as much anymore. I do have some in the archives that I am going to bust out. I actually decided to bust out this little piece right here, which is a Chanel button with some pearl and then a gold chain that actually is connected with it. I don't know if you can see it. We can probably zoom up close, production, when we edit. Can we do that? But I realized that I don't style my outfits as much anymore. So for keys, I am bringing a few extra necklaces, bringing a few extra pairs of sunglasses, and we're going to work on styling a little bit more. Figured I'd let everybody know. Not that you care. And also, by the time you watch this, you'll already starting to be seeing what I've been posting. So it will be past tense, which is great because then you can really judge me and how I was doing or how I styled. All right, moving on. Last week, I went to a wellness event. I started going to this place because the girl who did my lips and originally did my Botox here in Miami, she was at a location in Aventura or a med spa in Aventura. And it was just super hard for me to always get to her because Aventura is not in the area, obviously, that I live in and is further north of Miami. And she finally started working at a med spa in the Wynwood area, which has been a heaven sent for me because I absolutely love her and she is truly gifted at what she does. And I got invited to one of their exclusive wellness events for their members last week, which was really, really nice. And it was super cool. I actually ended up winning. So they did a raffle where they picked 5 winners or picked 5 tickets for the raffle and you could spin a wheel and win something. And I ended up winning microneedling with some sort of extra booster. I don't know exactly what it's called. So I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait to schedule my appointment. But at the wellness event, there was a woman that was doing card reading. I don't know if that's the right way to call it, right? Card reading, a card reader. And I've never had that done before. I haven't ever done any type of psychic card reading, future palm reading type ordeal, but she was there and I figured why not? And I also want to know if some things that, are going on in my life, I figured. Anyways, so she could only speak Spanish. So she had a girl that I think she works with or that was there to translate. At first, what you were supposed to do is pick 3 cards. So I picked 3 cards and the first card I picked actually was an 11 and that is my angel number. 1111 is my angel number. I see it all the time. It's been like that for years, and I thought that was really cool. So of course I got giddy. And then I picked the other two cards. I don't remember the numbers on those. I don't even know if they all had numbers or not. I think they did. But the 11 meant that in November, I'm going to have some sort of really big change happen. And it is basically going to be a big renovation or transformation. And to basically get excited or be prepared for it. And the other two cards kind of went with that. I always try to remember what the other two cards are and I go blank and then it comes back to me. But the second part of the reading, like I said, I'll get back to the other two cards because that's what it was. See what I mean? And then the other two cards were basically that I'm going to be going on a trip soon and it will be for pleasure. But during that trip, I will receive a big career deal or business deal of some sort, which is interesting because I'm not really going on a full-blown vacation because it's just Key West. I'm interested to see if that's it or if there's going to be another trip. I plan my trips not far out unless I'm going to Europe or something, which I do intend to go to Europe at the end of the year. I mean, if I'm having to wait that long, I'm not really looking forward to that. I'm interested to see if I will get some big news while I'm away this week. But then after that, there's another deck of cards that I would pick one card from. And I picked the card and it ended up being number 17, which is my favorite number and also the number that I had when I was playing soccer. I thought was really interesting that I picked an 11 and 17. And this woman knew nothing about me. So I picked the 17 and it was a long, not long. It was just a paragraph, obviously in Spanish. So it had to be translated for me. From there, I had someone else I know that speaks Spanish translate it so that way I could share it, but also just kind of remember it. So I'm going to open that up right now and read it. Okay, so because sometimes it's a little difficult to translate English to Spanish and Spanish to English as far as words, this is all not going to flow. You'll get the point. Honey isn't sweet enough for everyone. It is so terrible to be misunderstood. They were breaking it down that basically am not everybody's cup of tea, which is spot on. It goes on to saying, for guests, it's the colors. Those who seek to please everyone should stop pleasing themselves. How I don't please people. I'm not a people pleaser. Absolutely. Enjoy applause, but never depend on it. Everyone sees the world through their own eyes. Okay, so the applause is basically remain humble. Enjoy what I'm doing. And then when it said everyone sees the world through their own eyes, you're not a gold coin to please everyone, but as long as you're true to your principles and respect others, everything's fine. As long as I'm staying true to my values, my morals, who I am, it doesn't matter, obviously, what other people think of me. Sometimes that means that people aren't going to like that or just not understanding me or not choosing to understand me. I feel as if that's what I've dealt with my entire life because I'm so outgoing. I'm extroverted, even though I'm now, as I've gotten older, I'm a little bit more introverted as far as being a homebody. But anyways, we won't squirrel. I've been loud my whole life. I have always been very open and honest and truthful, and I will speak my mind. And if someone asks me for their advice, I'm going to be honest and give them maybe not what they always want to hear. There also has always been some sort of an intimidation factor because women, when there's good looking women and you're smart and you're educated and you're driven, and on top of that, you're outgoing, people don't like that. Obviously, as we get older, we mature and we start to realize that those people that I'm, not their cup of tea is totally fine. Women get that so much more than men. But in general, women have always been pinned against each other. And so I think that's also where a lot of the scrutiny and choosing not to like people or understand people is because we've always been trained to have competition or pin ourselves against each other instead of lifting each other up. But I thought it was pretty cool. And now I want to go back to her to get a full reading. I might be addicted. So we'll see. I would love to get a psychic reading or a palm reading. I've tried to read my own palm before, and that has failed miserably, I think, because then I end up spiraling and having a panic attack, thinking that I'm going to have a short life or that I'm never going to get married or that, I don't know, you're only going to go this far because you look at it and then you look at what the picture that you're trying to compare online. It's really funny, actually, if you think about it. I'm sitting alone by myself just staring at the computer and my hand trying to justify whether or not that's the right line. And if it is, oh no, there's a really dim line right next to the deep one, and that has to be it. That's definitely it. Speaking of, I have chocolate on my hand. So does that interfere if there's food on your hand while you're doing a reading? But that's actually really funny, though, that I was talking about how I would spiral out of control, because a topic I wanted to discuss today was about overthinking, but also too being a hypochondriac. I think they go hand in hand, but there's different types of, obviously, overthinking. I cannot be the only one that will randomly have thoughts about something you did in second grade to somebody or in the class, or how you got embarrassed. It could be the most minute situation that you're thinking about. And then all of a sudden, your body starts to just get really warm and hot, and you can feel this heat wave from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes or bottom of your body, feet. And it's just like you're just spiraling out of control thinking about something that happened in second grade. I mainly think about it as, oh my gosh, what if so and so is thinking about that? Or what if what I did is affecting this and then this person knows? And then from there, you're spiraling out of control even more, because now you're not only thinking about the thing that you did in second grade, but now you're thinking about how the people that are thinking about it now are thinking about you now. Oh. And then there's the type of overthinking where no one is thinking about you. And you're thinking so deep and hard into something that, in the nicest way possible, when I say this to myself, you're not that important that somebody or people are thinking that deep into something where it's causing you to have an anxiety attack. I try to put myself in other people's shoes where I'm not thinking about other people and certain situations that might cause them to overthink. So why would I have that happen to me? But some way, somehow, at the most random times, or when you're trying to sleep, especially, or when you're trying to focus and your mind, shutting off, and then all of a sudden it just starts going with all the things. I don't know about y'all, but lately I have been so exhausted, so mentally tired, where I can sleep between 8 and 10 hours and wake up the next day and just be drained. And I've heard and watched videos, and I've listened to a couple podcasts, obviously, where other people are feeling the same way. And then, of course, I stumble on a TikTok video where someone's talking about how Mercury has been in retrograde, and where this Mercury in retrograde has been very different than the other times, and it's actually lasted longer. I think that's as far as I got until I realized I needed to stop watching this because I'm just literally brainwashing myself. But apparently Mercury has been in retrograde, and this is a tough one. And to me, that justifies why I have been just all over the place and also exhausted. But then from there, I start to think, I don't even know what Mercury in retrograde even means. And I don't even know how that would affect not only me, but other people in different situations. And then how that relates to also your sign. I'm a Libra. So I don't know any of it. I don't know how to do any of this. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how to read my sign or my horoscope or astrology, but I think it's funny that depending on your sign, I think that's also how it affects you being in Mercury in retrograde. I don't know. But it was a good way to justify it because then after listening to probably a quarter of the video, I kind of gave myself that, yep, that's about right. And it's funny that I have to blame something else for my mood swings. But that I have to justify my behavior because of something else instead of me just maybe being burnt out or me maybe needing to sleep more or realizing that I have put more onto my plate and that I could just be tired. Since I've been yapping away about overthinking and anxiety and Mercury being in retrograde and justifying your feelings. And that is the importance of keeping your life organized and decluttered. One area I can really toot my own horn, toot toot, is keeping my life decluttered and organized. I have no problem throwing things out or getting rid of things, donating things, except for sneakers, running sneakers. That's extremely difficult for me. I have been doing a sneaker and activewear drive. This is my third year doing it for Souls for Souls. And basically, you can collect sneakers, donated sneakers, to give to Souls for Souls for women and children to have for school or to have job interviews and to feel confident that they have a pair of shoes to use or have. And that has been, I've already donated 10 pairs. That's not in total of everything I've collected, but myself, I've already donated 10 pairs, and there is definitely more that I could donate. I think about the miles that I've been with these shoes, which is, but I think about the races I've done, the miles I've ran, just the time I've had with the shoes, and it's very difficult. Physically taking out 10 pairs of my shoes that I know needed to go and dropping them in the donation box that I have was honestly monumental. It has been so difficult for me to get rid of sneakers. And to do that, I am just beyond proud of myself. So, hey, baby steps. But other than that, anything else in my life, I have no problem getting rid of. I think it's just so important for everyone to take the time to organize and declutter their life. I find that, especially in our world today, where we are obsessed with being a consumer and with fast fashion and with access to purchasing essentially anything your mind thinks of, we have also now rewired our brains to hoard and to get things and hold on to things. And most of the time, half of this shit you don't even need. More than half of this shit you don't even need. But then not getting rid of it, thinking you might need it later, but you haven't used it in over 6 months to a year. I find that if you are not organized and you are in a cluttered space, doesn't matter where it is, home, office, bedroom, car, bathroom, wherever, you're less likely to be motivated and to succeed at what you're really wanting to do. And you're less likely to have good energy. When I have a situation, for instance, when I get things from brands or when I get gifts and PR, or even when I'm sent things that I have to do for paid partnerships and things start to pile up, packages, or I'll put stuff in my closet that I have a list of things that I need to do as far as, like I said, filming content for these brands, or I just am getting too many things and I'm trying to put them everywhere. I have more anxiety. I am not as, I don't want to say I'm not as happy, but I'm more moody. I am more frustrated. I also feel when I'm having packages build up that I'm not being productive to just open them and throw the damn boxes out. I think this is a big issue with most people today. I cannot tell you how therapeutic it is when you organize and declutter your space, especially spaces that you spend time in often or spend time at often. And a lot of it is just not even wanting to face it or take the time to do it, which you've got the time. Put it in your schedule, block it off, force yourself. And if even that it means that you have to romanticize it, which is a thing these days where we're romanticizing our errands, we're romanticizing cleaning, we're romanticizing taking ourselves on a solo date, which I love doing. That should definitely be a topic. But plan it out to where you have a little non-alcoholic beverage, a little glass of wine, whatever you fancy. Turn some, music on, or turn my podcast on. Watch my podcast and get yourself into a situation where you can block off a couple hours, or even if it's a half hour to an hour, and declutter your space in your life. Come back to me and tell me how you feel. I guarantee you will feel more confident, more driven, more motivated, more focused. And also, you'll start to realize that there's a lot of shit, like I said, that you don't need, that maybe those that are less fortunate need, or that maybe you can repurpose and do something else with it. Something that I do, which I think this is really fun and also smart to avoid getting buildup for clutter, is anytime I get anything new, especially when it's activewear and athleisure wear, outerwear, in that realm, loungewear, I will get rid of something. So if I get new activewear sets, I will get rid of something that I don't need or that is old in my closet. I also do that with clothing in general. That will avoid you having a ton of shit in your closet that half of the stuff you haven't worn in years. And it will also be a little rewarding, as in, oh, I got this, but I'm taking this away. I don't know. It's just something that I do. I think it's super smart. When you get something that you get new, this could even be skincare or things in your bathroom or your kitchen, wherever it is. When you get something new, take something away that you no longer use. And that means if you haven't used it in 6 months to a year and it's not something of value that you're saving because it has value, or that you're saving for your future children or your children, or, it's vintage, whatever. If it is something you haven't touched, used, or worn in 6 months to a year, get rid of it. The hardest part is mentally and physically taking it and throwing it away. After that, it's easy. You forget about it. Trust me. Like I said, the hardest thing I've ever done, not the hardest thing I've ever done. Damn, that's funny. Another thing I like to do is I try not to leave my place where if I come back, there's a lot of chores I have to do. This is mainly when I'm leaving my place for the day, obviously, especially when I'm going out of town. I will ensure that my laundry is done. I have fresh sheets on my bed. My place has been organized and the dishes are done. The garbage is taken out. My plants are watered. I've vacuumed and mopped. I want to come home to the most clean, immaculate space, because we all get post vacation anxiety. It doesn't matter how near or far you're going. You always start to think about all the things you have to do. And knowing that you're going to come back to a decluttered, organized, and clean space is so much more helpful, and it actually reduces your anxiety. So for me, what I'll do is anytime I leave my place in general, for not just vacation, but like I was saying, for the day, I'll try to avoid having a lot of things that I have to do when I get back. If that means I have to fold a load of laundry really quickly, I always make my bed, so that's not an issue. Wipe something down, clean something up, put something in the laundry, whatever it is. I will avoid leaving my place a mess or unorganized or not clean. So next time you leave your house, think of one thing that you can do to make it so when you come back home, there's less things that you have to worry about, and you're able to maybe relax or enjoy yourself or do something that you want to do that you haven't been doing. This is completely off topic and more about news. It's definitely not pop culture, but it's something that's going on in the world that I feel as if most people know about or have heard about, and that's the Idaho murders. I am not wanting to talk about this in the sense of the murders and being one of those internet sleuths. Recently, I watched the Prime series, the documentary on it, and it has never been more eye opening to see the depths of what people will do for their own status or their own clout on social media, on the news, whatever it may be, than when I watched this series on Prime. I don't know if I've ever seen a documentary that focused so much on the mental health and the mental well being of victims of a vicious crime in my life. There may be some out there. I've watched quite a few. I definitely am a murder mystery connoisseur. It's interesting. I enjoy it because I like to understand kind of the mental side of things. Because obviously we have a huge mental health crisis in our nation. What stood out to me with this series is just how there are so many fake journalists and internet trolls that will say anything at the cost of them potentially making money or being heard or getting likes and views over valuing another human being's life. And I think that's insane to me. I cannot believe that how many people tried to break in, follow, approach, harass, take pictures of these poor surviving victims and the families of the deceased victims. And to hear their testimony and to hear what they have gone through the past couple years is absolutely insane. And I am so ashamed. Human beings. I'm ashamed. No one should do that. And leave the investigating and leave the journal, or not journaling, but you leave the journalism to the actual journalists, the educated journalists, the educated investigators. And then there's nothing wrong with talking about it. Like I said, I listen to true crime podcasts, and there are shows that I like to listen to. But again, that's going back to people that are educated in the industry, that have a background in the industry, and have actually done factual research and actual time and energy into properly researching versus just opening up your camera or turning on your phone, whatever it may be, and just spewing at the mouth facts or not facts because they're not true, but things that happened that aren't even true, or what you think happened and then diving into it as if it did happen. There's a difference between people's opinions and then speaking as if you know that that happened. To hear that the surviving victims were stalked, that the families were stalked, to hear that the surviving victims have been harassed so much to where they were getting death threats is absolutely fucking insane. We as humans and as people need to do better, but I also find that Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and other social media platforms need to do better with monitoring fake journalists and internet sleuths. Truly, I think that they focus so much on bullshit situations. For example, if you're in a bikini or not, or I don't know, different types of ASMR, or you can't even say gun on social media. But then you can have people go on and lie and harass and say that certain people brutally murdered their friends or XYZ, and that's okay. Doesn't make sense to me. It's so backwards, but of course, it's popular because it gets the views, it gets the likes, it goes viral. That means more people are on, more people are watching it, more people are spending time on the app, and that's what the social media platforms care about. More power to you on that end. But it is just it's absolutely disgusting to me. So I really, really enjoyed and I loved how Prime put together this documentary, and well done to the editors and the producers and the director. And obviously, bravo to all the brave family and friends that came on and spoke. And, that had to have been so hard. One other thing, oh yeah, good for Prime for actually landing these interviews, because basically everyone that was on it had denied major media companies as far as being interviewed because they didn't trust them or they didn't want to talk about it. So bravo to Prime and the team for gaining the trust of the families and the surviving victims and the friends and et cetera to put together something. I think I talked about this in episode 1 or episode 2, and it's about the psychology of people and exercise. Or I talked about how the hardest part of the psychology or the process of this is that it's not the thinking about, it's not the starting, it's not the planning, but it's continuing after the 4 to 6 week marker. And I felt like then, well, why don't I talk about workout routine and setting yourself up for success? So that means after the 4 to 6 week marker, or how you should properly schedule yourself. And I have my handy dandy notebook and wrote it all out. So that way I don't squirrel and go back and forth. I will do it in chronological order. And before I start, I want you to know that me talking about this, obviously I am talking about it in a segment, so it's going to be a little bit longer. Don't overthink it. No pun intended, because I know we've talked about overthinking. Don't overthink it, and don't start to feel overwhelmed, because it is a lot more straightforward and it's a lot more practical than you think. So first of all, obviously it's all about planning ahead. Duh, that's a given. But building out your workout schedule at least 3 to 5 days ahead of time. Oh, well, I have kids, I can't do that. Or, oh, my schedule's crazy, I can't do that. Or, oh, I don't know how I'll feel. Okay, stop right there. You're already talking yourself out of it, because one, if you have children, don't act like you don't have 17 different planners with all the different pretty little colored ink gel pens and you haven't planned out everything. You plan literally everything, especially when you have children. I've seen my friends do it, so stop making excuses about that. If your schedule is all over the place or it's not the same every day, well, your workout schedule is going to be at least, and that's a plus. And if you're talking yourself out of it, that means you need to declutter and organize yourself, like we've talked about. So no excuses. It is very easy to plan a week of workouts 3 to 5 days ahead of time. And if you truly feel like you can't do that, then at least plan it out for the week, the day before. But that will not make sense. And if you're taking any classes, book them, because you're less likely to cancel. If you're taking the right classes for your goals, so if you have a set goal that you're wanting to achieve, whether it's weight loss, whether it's toning up and getting more muscle mass, whether it's a combination, whether it's just simply moving your body and getting more movement in, whether it's maintaining your current weight and muscle mass, whatever your end game is goal-wise for exercise and body composition, separate from nutrition, make sure you're taking the right classes for whatever your goal is. So again, that just goes back to booking your classes, but knowing the right classes that you need to be taking. If you're going to the gym, know your workout, your split, know your workout split or your circuit. So that means if you're going to the gym, don't go in there with a blind eye. Know what you're going to do, whether that's you writing it down on your phone, writing notes, whatever it may be. Obviously, you have a trainer. It's their job to do that. But know exactly what you're going to do. That way you don't go to the gym and you realize you have no idea what you're about to do. And then you could get intimidated, or you're not feeling as confident. So you'll either leave or talk yourself out of it, or you'll have a bad workout. And then that just pisses everybody off. I mean, let's be honest here. If you're going for a run, having a playlist or knowing what you're going to listen to is really great, especially if you get bored easily, and knowing where you're going to go run. That way you're not driving in circles or unsure where you want to go. It makes sense to where you're going to be at the certain time that you're going for the run, but plan out your route and know how many miles you're going to do, incorporating 5 types of fitness: endurance, resistance, mobility, balance, and agility. So when you're planning out your workout week for 3 to 5 days ahead, you're wanting to incorporate endurance, resistance, mobility, balance, and agility. Depending on what your goals are or what your ultimate goal is, you might do more endurance. So that's cardio-based exercises. Or you might do more resistance, which is strength training exercises. But agility would come in with HIIT circuit training, HIIT classes. You could do circuit training, but that's a combination of the endurance and resistance. And then your mobility and balance, that's getting in some stretching, that's getting in maybe some yoga. Next, schedule your workouts at a time that fits your schedule, but when you have the most energy. So now we're kind of going into that bullet point too, in a sense. Whether you are a morning person, afternoon person, or evening person, you're going to plan your workout around that time because you have the energy, you're more willing and prepared to do it, and you're less likely to talk yourself out of it. You also want it to make it fit your schedule in the sense that you're not going to feel rushed or a level of anxiety with whatever workout you're doing because you didn't properly schedule it at a time of day that works for you and around all the other things you're doing. One thing that is most common is evening workouts. You are more likely to talk yourself out of or run into a situation where something comes up and you won't do it than if you get it done in the morning. However, not everybody thinks that way. But just kind of playing that mental game with yourself of when you feel the most energy to do it, and then how you feel the most energized post-workout. So we are now on the third topic: planning outfit the night before. If you are especially working out in the morning or are waking up and your day starts right away, which to most people it does, regardless if you're going for the workout or you're starting your day doing other things, planning the outfit the night before is going to take away one thing that you have to do in the morning. For instance, just like when you plan out your lunches for the next day or your meals for the next day or meal prep or however it is, packing lunches for the kids, you're planning it out to where that's one less thing you have to worry about, but then also planning out an outfit that will make you feel a little confident or a little excited, whatever it may be, feeling sexy, feeling fit, feeling fine. You have that ready to go, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about anything. This all lands in topic 4, so the last bullet point, but also something that we talked about as far as staying organized and decluttering your life. Don't have a bunch of house chores or incomplete tasks that you have to do to where you end up having to sacrifice your physical and mental health from working out because you're not staying on top of your other tasks or chores. So give yourself the grace to whenever you are going to work out, if there are other things going on in your life, it doesn't matter. You're still getting that workout in because I promise you, when you're done it, you're going to feel much better. But don't talk yourself out of doing something because you didn't properly prioritize the other things in your life, period. And then lastly, give yourself time to promptly arrive. I cannot say this enough. Rushing yourself is not going to do anything but stress you out, and then you're going to start your workout that way. Give yourself time to promptly arrive, regardless if it's a class or not. Especially, obviously, it's a class, you need to arrive on time because that's incredibly rude, except for a few times where shit happens and you can't help it. The universe is the universe. Whatever it is that you're doing, don't go into it rushing and frustrated because you didn't properly do time management. Something I notice about myself as of late is that I'm in my soft girl era, I think, or semi soft girl era, because I'll always be a sporty chic gal, a tomboy. I've also noticed that I'm in the mood to do light makeup or wear a little bit of blush, wear a little bit of a lip, like I said, accessorize, make myself feel cute. It doesn't have to be in an actual full-blown outfit, but with my activewear, dressing it up a little bit. My loungewear, dressing it up but down, effortless, as they would call it, channeling my feminine energy. So I will be interested to see how that plays out with dating. I recently, as in the last 3 days, 4 days, opened up my dating apps, kind of moseyed around in the apps just to see what's going on, what the options are like. I have made a little deal or pact with myself that I'm going to put myself out there because, like I said, I have not really focused on dating lately at all in, let's say, like the past 6 months. And being in my soft girl era, which I think is so funny that I'm saying that because I just don't look like a soft girl era gal, or just saying that is really funny to me because I'm so in your face. But yeah, I'm excited to see how that works out with dating and allowing myself to, when I'm on dates, be courted and not to have to prove that I'm independent and prove that I'm confident and prove that I don't need you because I can take care of myself. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this is just kind of it started to happen in the last 3 to 4 days. So we are in the beginning of the soft girl era. I'm curious to see where it goes. So I figured if I talked about it and I brought it up into existence, that way I will actually follow through with it and I will be able to update everybody on this. I'll be able to update you. One thing that I've noticed since I've started podcasting 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, as if now I'm a pro, is that you put pressure on yourself to have topics and to have obviously things to talk about, to fill space, to want to keep your listeners and your watchers engaged. And sometimes when you're thinking about topics or you think about something randomly, throughout the day and you jot it down as a topic, you start to overthink it and it becomes harder than it is when it comes to talking points. I am very much a homebody. I'll say that loud and proud. I'm also not the type of person that has to be everywhere all the time. I will pick and choose the fitness or wellness events that I go to. I will pick and choose social events that I will go to. I thoroughly enjoy my routine and my schedule and staying on track with the things that I love to do. My life lately has been very much me focused on what I'm doing and where I'm wanting to go. And I find that I think that is a lot more relatable to most people and especially my listeners. And I think that is something that I should focus on and talk about versus going above and beyond to try to have things to do or try to make things to do just to talk about. Because a lot of the podcasts that I listen to talk about just regular day-to-day life or regular relatable topics. And I think that's me just getting used to doing this every week because you do think about it. You're constantly thinking about what you want to talk about on your podcast. And you're constantly thinking, just like how I do with, content creation and influencing. And then you write all these ideas down. And some days when you write something down, it seems really perfect then. And you almost wish that you would record it then because it might be funnier or you might have better topics or points than when you wait until the day that you're recording. And then the day that you are recording, you realize, wait, that doesn't seem very fun to talk about. Or I don't think anyone wants to hear that. But then I have to remind myself that this is a podcast and I'm literally hanging out with you, just talking and shooting the shit. My people that listen relate to me and relate to the topics that I talk about. And that's the whole point. All right. I think we're going to end the episode and talk about when your dreams start to become a reality and the pressure that builds. I know this goes for everything. It's not just career, but anything in your life that you have worked hard towards or manifested towards, whether it be career, personal, relationship, family, friendship, you have more responsibility the more that you put yourself out there. That means you're putting more onto your schedule, you're putting more onto your plate, which means You're having to prioritize your time more, and you have to have better time management and work smarter, not harder, and your schedule's more full. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's what you've worked hard for and that's what you've built up to get to. That means you have more pressure and you have more things and more people relying on you. It can start to become daunting. It can also affect your physical and mental health. I had been thinking about ways of talking about this to where it doesn't sound like I'm selfish and that I don't have gratitude, but also how not being practical about where I am and who I am. Obviously, I am not at the top of my game. That's not true. I am at the top of my game. I'm not at the top of the food chain when it comes to people knowing me and being a public figure and in the public eye. I'm very aware of that. And I am not delusional. The things that I'm doing right now is because I'm setting myself up for my future. And I'm not going to wait until I get to a certain place in life to do things that now I know I'm ready for, because that's when I start to do things or I take on more work or I take on more life happenings is when I am mentally and physically ready, not when someone tells me I am or when I get to a certain level of success. And I had a couple little sayings that I wrote out that I wanted to read to y'all because I'm sure most of you that are listening or watching can understand this and are feeling this with something that's going on in your life. Start with gratitude and acknowledgement. I remember a time when I used to pray for exactly what I have now. The opportunities, the responsibilities, the growth. I longed for it all, or I longed for all of it. Really great one. Very, very subtle and to the point. Speak to the shift. And now that it's here, I find myself overwhelmed sometimes. The weight of answered prayers can feel heavy. Success, blessings, and growth don't always come with ease. They come with new challenges, new expectations, and a new version of me that's still learning to carry it all. That still is learning to carry it all. Admit the tension. It's a strange place to be, grateful but tired, fulfilled but stretched thin, happy but still adjusting to the adjusting to the pressure that comes with elevation. Center yourself in perspective. But then I remind myself, this is what I asked for, this is what I worked for, and I'm growing into the capacity to hold it. Not perfectly, but with grace, patience, and humility. Ooh, amen. End with intention. So I'm learning to breathe in the chaos, to rest when I need to ask for help, and to remember that I am being prepared for this. Every answered prayer comes with responsibility, but also with purpose. I mean, can I get a amen? I love these little reminders that it is okay to feel the pressure of your accomplishments, your success, where the things that you've prayed for are happening in your life, and it not be selfish or as if you are not thankful and having gratitude for what you have. And I felt like that was very important for me to share because in our world where we're constantly having to feel pressured to always be doing something and to always be striving for that next level of success or X amount of money, how many children, what your family's doing, the house that you live in, whatever it may be. We're not reminded that it is okay to feel the pressure, but we're also not reminded that slowing down, taking a break, shutting off is not proving that you're not productive or proving that you're not motivated. It actually is showing that you have better control and that you're able to stop and pick right back up, and that you are choosing to stop and slow down so that way you can be better at what you're doing and what you're striving for and what you're manifesting. So if anyone else has been feeling that kind of pressure, just know that you're not alone and that 90% of the population, I guarantee you, and that's not factual, by the way, or that's not a statistic, I'm just ballparking, feel the same way. I think it's time to go into products I'm digging this week. And we are going to introduce my emotional support stuffed animal. It is a weighted dinosaur that I am absolutely obsessed with. I'm not a big pink gal as far as having to have pink surrounding me, but my second cousin, so basically it is my cousin's daughter, Kenzie Rose, had this nugget when she came to visit in Vero Beach, I don't know, a year ago or something. They're always around. And I absolutely loved it. And she got it off Amazon and I ended up finding it. And I have loved it ever since. I love that it's weighted. I'll put it on my belly when I'm laying in bed, or I'll snuggle with it, especially when I don't have Welker around. But this is one that I've really been digging lately. My emotional support stuffed animal. I haven't named her actually. Wait, I think I did, but I forgot. So we'll have to think of a name for her again. Next is my Primal Harvest Primal Magnesium. Magnesium is so important to take. This is a 3-in-1 magnesium complex with zinc, which is even more spectacular. But magnesium is beneficial for relaxation and muscle recovery, but also for mood and to simply allow your body to have the minerals to replenish. When I take magnesium supplement, depending on the type of magnesium supplement you're taking, because there are some that will make you more calm and more sleepy. And then obviously there are some that will help with recovery and performance and overall energy and mood. But having a magnesium in your life must happen. And to plug, I do have a discount code that is Jess Rose McDowell to receive a discount, Primal Harvest. Second to last is the Kirsten S. Yeah, Kirsten S. I love how these are products that I've been using for so long and I love them so much. And sometimes I cannot pronounce anything. And it's the shampoo and conditioner. I also have the typical pink peach bottle of the shampoo and conditioner in my shower, but I absolutely love her products. And she actually just came out with a hair wand, like the styling hair wand that you use to get flyaways. I'm super pumped about that. But I have the shine enhancing conditioner and the softening shampoo. I really like this duo together. Smells so good, works phenomenally. And I think I've recently shared in products that I'm digging this week, another product from the softening line, the softening oil, which is really great that you put in damp hair, wet hair, or dry hair. It helps with shine, softening, and then the frizzies. And then last but certainly not least is this Harmless Harvest. It is a coconut cultured yogurt, and this is the flavor strawberry, crafted from hand scoop coconut meat, which is really funny to think about, but coconut does have meat, and I'm really liking them. I get them at Sprouts. And those are the products that I'm digging this week. I think we just finished episode 7. I'm going to leave it at this because this is something obviously that is such a pop culture topic right now, but we're all aware of the CEO affair that has happened at the Coldplay concert. And my opinion is that it was purposely, I don't want to say purposely staged by Coldplay, but that they wanted to be seen. I don't know if it's for a media stunt or if this was a way to get back at somebody for something else that's going on. But I don't believe that the two went to this concert with the idea that they won't be seen. It doesn't matter how you got there, how you entered the concert, how you got to your suite. You're at a Coldplay concert and you're at a concert in general with how many thousands of people. It doesn't matter how discreet you go and come, you're still at a concert. And unless you literally talk to all of production and say, do not put me on camera, you have more of a chance of being on camera because you are of a level in being in the public and status that being shown on screen or on the Jumbotron is more likely for you than the regular normal person paying for a seat in the stadium or the auditorium or wherever it was. I genuinely think that they wanted to be seen, maybe not on the Jumbotron, but there. And it was for some sort of revenge against a spouse or a partner that ended up backfiring and becoming pop culture meme and headline. But that's what I think. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But I do believe it was set up. And that's that.